If you choose to accept this mission, if you are killed or disavowed.
Do you remember when we made the mayor thing?
Yes.
Now you can start, sorry. I haven't found a way to cut that in. I could use that as the open.
That was me starting.
Oh. Oops.
Hello, Internet.
Do you guys ever think about dying?
Welcome to this week's episode of Desert Island Institute of Film. I'm Paul.
I'm Diet Dr. Paul.
And Father and...
Yo soy el niño. For those of you who don't habla español, el niño is Spanish for the niño.
I'm still waiting on a blood test. I'll go with maybe I'm his son. Maybe. Question mark.
Well, different way. I know there's thousands of programs about movies and movie reviews. A little bit different, our perspective, boomer, millennial, father, son, and just the way that we think about them. So we hope you have fun. Our goal is to have fun, just like it's us sitting around watching a movie or in the car driving back. And ultimately our goal is that you find something. And on my list today, I'm telling you, there's gonna be some jewels on there that maybe you haven't seen.
Oh, I'm blind.
And I hate seeing the top. We have the top 7 on our that's the centerpiece. And I hate seeing a top list and say, I've all seen all of those. Mm-hmm. I want to see something new and different. Mm-hmm. So what is this week's topic?
Top 7. In lieu, we just saw the latest Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1.
Right, which I believe in the whole Mission Impossible series, that was like number 107, I think.
Something like that.
106.
You got to get pi in there somewhere to figure that one out.
Yes.
But top 7 secret agent movies.
Right. Spy, secret agent, that kind of stuff.
I promise you I didn't put Wayne's World on this list. Okay? Just for you.
Wayne's World is not a spy movie. There's nothing.
There's a scene where Wayne, roll the clip.
What are you gonna do? I don't know. I do have one plan.
What are you gonna do with these guys?
Oh, nothing really. I just always wanted to open a door to a room where people are being trained like in James Bond movies.
Wicked.
Yeah.
Speaking of Dead Reckoning, okay,
yes.
What'd you like?
Well, I think if you'd asked me 15 years ago, I would have told you it was garbage because I don't like big explosion movies and stuff. But I've grown, and I think I like these types of movies, and I've grown to accept that Tom Cruise never phones anything in, especially when it comes to the Mission Impossible series. It's kind of like his baby. And I think the more he's gotten into the series, the more he's gotten his fingers in the pie with like special effects and writing and producing. So you feel that on here. So I liked from that aspect that it felt like the other Mission Impossible movies. They all feel very cohesive, even with different directors. The director of this one, I'm a big fan of his. He wrote or directed one of the Jack Reacher movies. He wrote Edge of Tomorrow, and there's another one in there that I'm forgetting. But he's just done 3 or 4 movies as a director, but they're all been really, really good. He's got Tom Cruise in a bunch of them, so they feel cohesive, but they also feel like this is the end of this saga we're getting down to. I mentioned when we were leaving the theater that you could tell Cruise is looking a little bit older in this one. Ving Rhames is looking a heck of a lot older in this one.
Well, even, was it Benji? Is that his name?
Simon Pegg actually looks the best in this. Like, he's aging the best of all of them. I guess when you're sitting behind a computer screen, it's easier. But I like that. I like that. It makes it feel more realistic. There are times in this movie where there's an action sequence where he slips and falls or something because he's older now. And I like that they played into that. It reminded me a little bit of Logan in terms of its arc for that character with the X-Men. So I feel like this is kind of like for him. And I thought this is supposed to be the end of the series after the next movie, and you said apparently no. So from where I was sitting, I felt like that they could have had an opportunity to really close it on a good note. And so that's what I really, made it enjoyable for me.
Do you know what I liked? Mm-hmm. Ask me what I liked.
What'd you like?
I'm glad you asked.
I'm glad you asked me to ask.
I love the locations. It is beautiful. It's it's like John Wick, the last one kind of really is. It is I love seeing things that you don't see all the time. New York and L.A. I also think that it was more of a celebration of the friendship among the team, and we don't see that enough. We've talked about that as a theme in this show before about male friendships. We just don't we just don't do this. We got the lone wolf, the guy that's out there, but by himself. And this is really them together, and it did feel sweet to me, and I like that. I like the addition of the new actress. I don't know her name, but she's really, really good. It was very, very intriguing to watch, and the interplay with her and Tom Cruise. A lot of times you'll have characters that are you see this sometimes where it's like the wife of the action star, and essentially it's just a throwaway. All they got to do is just show up and stand by a stove kind of stuff, and that's not. Well, I'm serious. I mean, how many times have you seen that?
Yeah.
Oh, honey, I'm home. Oh, here's dinner kind of stuff, or get upset once in a while talking about you're never home. But this is an example of a very richly written female character that was constantly surprising, and I thought that was really.
She showed up in the last one. She was a big player. I'm a real big fan of her. Again, I can't think of her name. Matt Sheckman. I think she's going to be the new Sue Storm coming up. I'm not sure if that's 100%. So I agree with that. My brain just left the building. Oh, okay. I got the playback.
Make sure you keep the whistles in there.
Oh no. I will say, we talk about it's a celebration of the characters. There was a period after the second movie came out where this was looking like it's going to turn into Fast and the Furious, Tokyo Drift, and just not be good. And it's because there was a period in the stories where some of his teammates were expendable, and they went through them fairly quickly. So I think that once they sort of got out of that and got to like building stories with these side characters, it really went from Mission Impossible 1, great, Mission Impossible 2, considered the worst movie of the series, 3, getting better, but then 4, 5, and up, it got better. And that's where you started to see Simon Pegg and Jeremy Renner and Ving Rhames and the British chick that's in this one. And then there's the new female lead that's in it as well that I really like. So I totally agree with you.
Yeah. By the way, I liked Tokyo Drift. I think it's one of the better.
I did too.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. All right.
I'm okay with that.
All right.
What did you dislike? Or what did I dislike? What did I dislike? I disliked that there's no Henry Cavill in it. I really liked him in that last one. I thought he played well off of Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise very much like the 1 in a million chance. I'm going to wait and I'm going to get that 1 in a million chance, where Henry Cavill is kind of a little bit like let's just run in and we'll just throw punches and see what happens. So I kind of liked his character a little bit. I wanted to see that. There were some other side characters and stories that we haven't seen. The Australian helicopter guy, didn't get to see him.
Don't you think Tom Cruise kind of wants to be
Oh yeah, absolutely.
the cutest kid on the ugly bus?
Why do you think the only two guys still in the series are Ving Rhames and Simon Pegg? Rhames looks like he's 75. He looks like Raymond Burr.
We got the meats.
And Simon Pegg is just not a threat.
Right.
This is the coolest Simon Pegg has ever been in a movie, and he's still like just a regular dude.
Yeah.
Jeremy Renner, nowhere to be seen. He would be the young buck in this one. He's gone. We don't know where he is.
Yeah. What I didn't like is I'm really, really tired of action movies that are just completely unbelievable, that violate all the known laws of physics. And that's the Fast and the Furious and Mission Impossible. And it doesn't have to be be that way. There are films that are exciting, that you feel the tension and the threat, the danger, but without having to have, that you're going to parachute. There's no spoilers here because I don't know that this happened. You're not going to parachute from the moon and catch a ride on a rocket ship and then drop through a window of a skyscraper. You know, it's just not. It's not possible, and I get tired of that. It just pulls me out of the movies. Like, this couldn't happen. It couldn't happen, and so I'm sick of that.
I get what you're saying, because I think there's a difference, right? Fast and the Furious is unabashedly just in your face, doesn't care about the laws of physics or any real things at all. It's just all fugazi with that. With Mission Impossible, yes, it was these very like crazy scenarios, but the ones that worked were, I think, they're longer action sequences where you do have some unbelievable stuff, but it's a little different. It's not so much like you said, someone, parachuting from the moon and landing through a car window and this, that, and the other. But let's go to Mission Impossible 2, or Mission Impossible 1, the first one, right? Where he's hanging off the wire and he's like doing that thing. Like, that's a very difficult maneuver, but there's a realism to it.
I didn't mind that one. I didn't mind the one with him climbing the, face climbing the cliff kind of stuff.
What about the ones with the gloves that are like, where he's climbing on the outside of the building?
Yeah.
And then one of the gloves fails, and so now he's only got one glove?
Yeah. I want more realism.
Yeah, I think they scale it back at certain times, or they don't scale it back at certain times, and that's where I think these movies really truly get away from being like, I don't know, like Tenet or The Departed or something, where it's just like really, really good high-level filmmaking stuff. So,
what are you looking for next?
Well, I wanted to see some closure in the series. It's such a dense series. There's a lot of like storytelling where it's in layers and it's weaving through, and you got to remember, oh, I was a double agent over here and double agent over here, and this guy and this guy and that guy and this guy. So there's all this stuff, and they could get away with throwing it down the road for 10 more movies if they wanted to. But I would like to see them tie some of these strings up. Let's get some conclusions here in some of this.
I absolutely agree. I would take it one step further. Tie up the conclusions.
Kill Tom Cruise.
Put him in a box and bury it. I want to see the end of this.
Yeah.
And it's fascinating because if you think about Mission Impossible and James Bond, the parallel. You can draw a lot of parallels
Coke and
between
Pepsi.
those. But the thing is, I'm okay with James Bond, having 100 films, because what it does is it constantly changes and reinvents itself for the time. You had the Roger Moore, which was more humorous kind of stuff, and then we moved into the Daniel Craig phase kind of stuff. But even Daniel Craig, when they killed him off, I think it would be wonderful if Mission Impossible could do the same thing, that it's not so much about an individual actor or actress, but it's about the idea. I love the idea of IMF, Impossible Missions, and keeping that going, but changing it up a little bit, for crying out. I mean, I really think I'm done with Tom Cruise. I just think he should.
I didn't get to see the last 007 movie yet. I have it literally sitting at home, and I'm just sitting by the TV to watch it, and I haven't watched it yet.
And so clearly that was you want to cut that portion out of the. You're messing with me.
I haven't seen it, but I knew it happened.
You knew he died. Okay, so quit messing with me. All right, I'm going to go first, right?
Oh.
Top 7 spy movies of all time. And I'm thinking that you probably have never heard of 2 of these, and one of them you've probably heard of, but you've never seen, right?
I'm certain that you have seen every single movie on this list more than a handful of times each.
Okay. Well, then this is something exciting for you. Listen to me, right? When he talks, go get a drink.
Go read a book.
Right. All right. My number 7, Spy with My Face, 1965.
Never heard of it. Sounds really stupid.
I grew up, all right, in the.
Did you?
Oh, sick burn.
I did. That's debatable. When in the 60s, James Bond was everywhere. It really was. That's when the toys and they had a thing called Secret Sam, and it was an attaché case that I would love to have one of these things. It was an attaché case that had a gun in it and had a camera in it, and you could push a button on the attaché case and it would shoot a bullet, or it would take pictures. They actually had film for this kind of thing. You could take the pistol out and put a stock on it to make it into a rifle. It was one of my favorite Christmas presents of all time. It wasn't James Bond, but it was Secret Sam, and these kind of things were all over, toys, toys, toys. But the entry point for kids wasn't so much James Bond. It was Man from U.N.C.L.E., right?
Secret Sam with hidden camera that really works. Your assignment, danger. Your mission, find the master spy. Your weapon, Secret Sam. Through Secret Sam's periscope, you see him, but he can't see you. You locate the master spy, you talk to him, and Secret Sam's hidden camera is taking his picture right now. Suddenly you're discovered. Secret Sam fires bullets from inside the case. Secret Sam has barrel extension. Special missile sends message to your partner. Mission accomplished. You hand over real photograph. Secret Sam with periscope, message missile, rifle stock, barrel extension, even shoots through this carrying case. And this real camera that works in secretly or out. Takes real photos. Secret Sam. Secret Sam.
This Secret Sam thing, people out there my age resonate with Secret Sam, right? They have a thing in there you could look around walls. I mean, it was so sweet. I would love to have one of those in mint condition, right? So the Man from U.N.C.L.E., was.
He's talking about the new movie too. That came
No,
out,
I'm not. I'm talking about the TV
show.
show. Robert Vaughn, David McCallum, had Leo G. Carroll kind of stuff. It was a weekly TV series that kids were just lapping it up. You wanted to be a spy, but they came out with 2 movies, and this was Spy with My Face, and the David McCallum character, Elia Kuryakin, he gets kidnapped by Thrush, and they make somebody, and they have his face, and so he's like infiltrating kind of stuff. So who's the real Elia Kuryakin kind of stuff? And I'm telling you, if you check on Rotten Tomatoes, it's got like a 46. It's a pretty horrible movie, but to see it through my eyes as a kid was amazing kind of stuff. It was like, it was the first time I remember something on a small screen winding up on a big screen, and they showed it as a double feature because there was 2, and these movies were essentially re-edited together from the TV series kind of stuff. But it's really it was sweet. So it is something that you could get a copy of this and watch it with your kids. It's good. And
I never heard of it.
Well, you've heard of Man from U.N.C.L.E.
Yeah, I know Man
TV
from
show.
U.N.C.L.E. Yeah. But not the movie.
Yeah, write it down, watch it.
Okay. All right. My number 7. Now this one is probably on the line of sort of isn't a secret agent movie, but it is The Rock with Nicolas Cage and Sean Connery. Sean Connery. It is pretty much a secret agent movie, but I like it. It's peak Nick Cage, and I'm telling you, man, he gets such a bad rap for going off the deep end for a little while. He's reeled it back in. But there was a time period where he
needs a little bit more medication.
He does.
He's got a little bit ways more to reel.
But he seems like he's at least back and he's getting credit for being as good as he is as an actor. Because there was a time where he was the biggest actor on the planet. And that's when he was suiting up to play Soups, man.
Is this the 3rd episode we've mentioned that?
Yeah. Put the bunny back in the box. Such a clutch. I mean, basically, he put Superman's suit on that character, and that's probably what would have been in the movie. But it's such a good movie. Ed Harris is a great villain. Yeah, I mean, if you've not seen this movie and you consider yourself an action film fan, then what are you doing?
Get the Criterion Collection.
There is a Criterion Collection.
There
is. It is. But it's a great movie. Very rewatchable too, and holds up well through time. Some of his movies don't because again he's been around for a while, but this one definitely does hold up.
What year do you know the year that came out?
Probably 95 to 99, somewhere in there.
How old were you when you saw it?
10, 12.
So is this something that people your age or younger, maybe this might be an unknown movie for people that have never seen the?
Yeah, well, if that's the case, then definitely, because it does hold up. It's not, I mean, you guys, like I said, if it's like 98, 97, somewhere in there, but it feels like it plays even 10 years later than that.
It is. It does hold up, I think. Yeah, it's great. That's a good choice.
I like ensemble casts too, so.
Well, that's why you like the Avengers. My number 6 is Austin Powers Goldmember, right? Now, I'll tell you why it's there. I really wanted to put Our Man Flint.
Okay, but you already used that one.
Well, we've talked about that before.
Yes, you've used that one very recently, I think.
Yes, it is. And it's a wonderful sort of parody of James Bond. So I didn't want to do that. I want to go with Austin Powers. And it is it's sweet. And my favorite scene in it, talking about Tom Cruise, is you've got got Tom Cruise as the Austin Power character, and you've got Danny DeVito, and you've got Steven Spielberg kind of stuff in the that whole deal.
Kevin Spacey.
Yes. Where did you see that? Do you remember?
Deep Creek, Maryland.
Deep Creek, Maryland, in the theater there, and it was a nice little family vacation, and that was sweet kind of stuff. But it was good. It takes all of the tropes of spy movies and James Bond and just has a little fun with it. And I think that that's good for these things, so that we don't take ourselves too seriously in these big serial films. So don't have anything else to say about it.
Well, number 6, Austin Powers Goldmember is my number 6.
That's a daily double.
A daily double.
Whoop-de-doo! What does it all mean, Basil?
But I remember, the first 2 are great movies, but I remember when we saw the movie in the theater that we were both kind of like, probably the best one of the 3. The ending of it's wonderful. Again, everything that's great about Mike Myers too, as the comedian and the characters that he can do, really breathes life into that movie. But you're right, it sort of does what Hot Fuzz did for action movies before that ever happened. And it's hysterical. It is absolutely hysterical.
It is. It really is. It's sweet.
The scene where they're getting the physical on the submarine at the end, that's just, oh my God, like a baby's arm holding an apple.
I so wish they would come out with a new one.
They talked about it for a long time, and I want to say that I've read that it's still a possibility. But I think that was something that he never forced. He just kind of like let the story come to him, and that's why we haven't seen one, which if that's the case, then I'm okay with that. He does have a show that we mentioned on the SNL episode called The Pentaveret, which kind of has similar vibes to it, which is pretty funny.
Well, good. Like minds think alike. All right.
Number 5.
Well, my number 5 is The Bourne Ultimatum. All right.
Which one is that? That's
the towards the end,
okay.
2007.
That's what I thought.
Here's the thing. I think a lot of mainstream actors like to try their hand at action films. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't work. Liam Neeson, I'm sorry, I just don't think it works for him as an action star.
I will look for you. I will find you. And I will kill you.
Matt Damon works as
but you don't think Liam Neeson's an action star?
it doesn't resonate with me. He just seems like an actor trying to do, Matt Damon disappears in the role of Jason Bourne.
Oh, absolutely.
And it is, the difference between something like a Jason Bourne and a James Bond is, it seems to me more cerebral. That it's more thoughtful, there's more intrigue, it really is more about espionage as opposed to action and shooting, that kind of stuff. The cast on this is absolutely stellar. You have Joan Allen, who almost just steals the entire
She's
movie.
the woman he works for.
The CIA,
she's
director.
really good.
You got her. You got Scott Glenn, David Strathairn. I mean, it really is twists and turns all through it. It's like you think about James Bond. You've got the locations kind of stuff all over the world. Doesn't have as much of the gadgets kind of stuff. So it's a little bit more believable than the Bond films, but this was really, I think the entire film series is, the entire film series with Matt Damon is good. The one Jeremy Renner did one that was just unwatchable.
I don't think it was unwatchable, but it was not it's not on the good thing about Bourne is, like you said, it's a very realistic look at this. For at least from a movie perspective, it's probably still way blown out of proportion.
I didn't like the Renner one. I just didn't think it wasn't believable to me.
Yeah. It's not a bad movie, but it's a bad movie because it's a Bourne movie. If that movie was called Jeremy Renner Kills America or whatever, it's probably a 7 out of a 10 movie. Not a bad movie, but the reason why I liked the Jason Bourne movies is because it's not filmed like an action movie. It's filmed more like a drama or like some type of thriller. It's less about explosions and big set pieces, even though you have these really nice locations, France and Europe and all these places. It's just not shot like those types of movies, so it feels a little grittier and a little more realistic. And I think if you had to give for my money, I would take Bourne before I would take Bond or Mission Impossible.
You know how I always say with Lord of the Rings trilogy, that I love the thought of having a long weekend just to sit and binge watch the extended versions. The only other series that I could do that with would be the Bourne films.
They're all very
I love it,
well
and it's rich to watch it all through it and watch the progression of the characters. I couldn't do that. Well, of course, there's too many Bond films, but even to watch all of Sean Connery's or all of Daniel Craig's or Roger Moore's, I couldn't do it. But I agree with you. It is written more as a drama.
Yeah,
almost like a stage play in some way.
Yeah, very much. Yeah.
Good.
Agree. All right, my number 5. This is a very recent movie. And one I want to look at more, and I think it could get higher on this list, and it could drop off altogether, but that is Tenet. Chris Nolan's Tenet. Very much a opposite spectrum from the Bourne Identity and everything else altogether. Is that this is just like a different spy movie. I don't even feel confident about like talking about the story to someone yet because I still don't know that I understand it fully. But I think that's part of why it's intriguing. It's a little different, is that it's not easy to understand. So there's some rewatch value, but just a very different movie. I think I bought it for you.
No.
No?
We saw it in the theater.
I know I saw it with you. I just couldn't remember where I saw it at.
Yeah, and we only saw it I only saw it one time, so that's how the same
I've seen it 2 times since I saw it originally, but they were all spaced out apart. But I'm just a huge fan. That's Denzel Washington's son, and he's just like his dad. He's a heck of an actor. And I think Nolan, for Hollywood directors, he's the most like accessible film director out there right now. So he doesn't shoot necessarily what I would consider Hollywood movies, but he does get Hollywood budgets to do his stuff. So I think that he can be a good director to check out for people that are maybe wanting to get into movies a little bit more.
Once he wins the Oscar for Oppenheimer this year, you're going to see a totally different Chris Nolan and his outlook on films.
Why?
Because once he tastes that podium with I want to thank the Academy, he's not going to be going back to that. What's the one that?
Memento?
No, the one that was folding in on itself and unwatchable.
No, that wasn't unwatchable.
Oh, it is.
No.
I've seen better film on teeth.
Yeah, no, it's a dementia. Inception.
Yeah, didn't like it.
Oh, great movie.
Nah, and I quite frankly didn't understand it.
I thought Tenet was way harder to understand than
I like Tenet better than
Inception. I do too.
Yeah.
I do too.
Okay. My number 4 has to be an early phase James Bond film, and it's Goldfinger.
Goldfinger.
Now, my first movie I saw was Dr. No, and I love Dr. No, but there's something about they amped up the gadgets and stuff in Goldfinger.
It's a lot of beaches and stuff in that one too. I really like that one.
The scene with the him being strapped to the table and the laser coming close. I mean, that's just for a kid back in the 60s. Like, oh my goodness, watch your junk, man. It's gonna and actually you sing the song. I think that the greatest Bond song ever done was Thunderball by Tom Jones. There's nothing that has come close to that. Maybe Skyfall, whatever that. I don't know who that was. It Lady Gaga or
No,
somebody?
it's the
or,
other chick. What's her Adele.
Yeah, I thought that was really very well. But Thunderball, just works for. I like the song Goldfinger, but I really think that was a superior a piece of music and performance. The thing about Goldfinger is it really captures. You had Goldfinger, Thunderball, and Dr. No. That was the three bigs that all came out that same time period with the Beatles and Man from U.N.C.L.E. and stuff. Goldfinger was flashy, and it was the one that kids. I wanted to see Thunderball because they had little jetpacks, and I just never got a chance to do that until I was like 30 years old. I think I saw Thunderball for the first time. But Goldfinger was I think there's more Goldfinger in Austin Powers than any of the others. But yeah, very very good.
Yeah, I like that one too. That one almost made my list. All right. We are at number 4?
3. Well, number 4 for you.
Number 4 for me, The Bourne Identity. Everything else is just an imitation after the first one. It's the best one to me.
And this is the one where he sort of wakes up in the boat and all that kind of stuff, and
with the girl from Run Lola Run in it.
And then tries to figure out, like, how do I know all the things that I know?
The fight scene with the pencil.
What is it? Something wrong?
Open that. Tell me what's inside.
It's just good stuff. I really like it's a time period. I think I like it because it's a little bit older than some of the more recent ones. So just watching it with whatever frame rate or whatever that is, I just enjoy that because it reminds me of being younger watching movies. It's again, I think it's just the best one, and that's why it's on the list.
I gave because I had the same thing. I gave the tip of the hat to Ultimatum because of Joan Allen. She's amazing.
I didn't even think about her.
Yeah,
I didn't even think about her, but yeah,
she's stunning. What her breadth of talent.
Yeah, it really lends itself well for the third one because there's more of a face to sort of, and I don't want to call her the bad guy necessarily because it's a gray area for some of the film, but yeah, Bourne Identity.
Good choice. Numero tres. All right, now here's where I blow your mind. Because I don't think that you've heard of this movie before or seen this movie.
Maybe not, I don't know.
1992, Sneakers.
Yes, seen it.
With me?
Yeah, you
Where?
showed it to me.
And you watched it?
Yes, it was like with dinner and stuff.
Oh, because that was the only way to get you
It's got, what's his face in it? The guy who played Gandhi is in it.
Ben Kingsley.
Ben Kingsley.
Robert Redford.
Yeah.
I think it was River Phoenix, one of his last movies, if not his last or next to last movie. Dan Aykroyd in it. Look, stop right now.
I don't remember anything about it though.
Seriously, stop.
All right, stop. Collaborate and listen.
Go find a copy of Sneakers.
And then burn it.
It is absolutely a breath of fresh air. Phil Alden Robinson is the director. And what else has he directed? One of our favorites.
No clue.
Field of Dreams.
Oh.
Oh yes. The same, it's got the same sort of aurora to it. It doesn't have the magic
majesty.
of Field of Dreams, but you'll see a lot of his cast of characters, supporting characters all through it. The music is kind of amazing. It's about a story of a team, a security team, whose job is to find problems with security systems. So they'll break into banks to figure out where things are falling apart. And in the process of doing that, you get this whole sort of international intrigue thing. It is so sweet. There's so many things I like about it. One of my favorite scenes, it's a trope in movies. Anytime somebody says, well, what's the number? And they'll say, 555, It's because they don't want to use real telephone numbers, because then whoever the real number is going to get 1,000 harassing telephone calls. Well, they don't do that in this. They use an actual real telephone number, and the story of how they sort of got that number to be able to do it. In fact, every time I talk about it or think about it, I want to go get a copy of the film real fast, find the number, and call it to see what it is. But there's that scene that's in it, and in the end, the greatest scene is where they're asking each person on the team, okay, what's your reward, and how they decide what that. You don't remember any of.
I remember little parts of it. I remember you telling me about it beforehand, how much you enjoyed the movie and how good it is, and I remember watching it. I just know I saw it that one time. That was it.
It's funny and it's warm, and there's twists and turns in this that you'll never figure out. It's got the whole, you just talked about Tom Cruise and the Wire scene and how he's trying to It's that kind of stuff how they're doing it and how it really is just. Mary McDonnell is in it. David Stratham. There's another David Stratham movie that's in it. Dan Aykroyd's brilliant kind of thing. Just a really great movie.
I think I remember it having like a twist in the ending or something. But I need to go back and watch it.
That's a good one. Yeah, I've seen it. I don't know, maybe half a dozen times, and it's still just as refreshing first time. Stop right now. Of course, you've already stopped. You're not even.
No, don't stop. Finish the episode first.
Okay.
And then watch that.
All right.
All right. Number 3, Casino Royale. That's my Daniel Craig entry. I like it because it's a different aspect of Bond that we didn't see. It's his early career before he was really Bond yet. So I like that. Again, it's you catch him in the middle where he knows all his tricks and this, that, and the other, and he can kick everybody's butt. But we don't see them when they're younger and they're dealing with it, which is when I talked about one of the reasons why I like the newer Mission Impossible movies. You see him kind of getting older and he's not on as much as he used to be. So similar to that. It's just a little different. And Daniel Craig is so money, and Mads Mikkelsen is so money. The scene where he's torturing him in the chair with the knot, and Daniel Craig is just screaming and then like turns it into a laugh, and then he's just like, no, a little bit to the left, and I was like, this is just the coolest. Like, he's just so cool, and so I don't know. He's my favorite Bond. I mean, I have an affinity to the Connery and to Pierce Brosnan even, but he's my favorite.
Well, that's interesting because my number 2, I mean, I love all of Daniel Craig. I really do think consistently across his work, he is the best Bond. I mean,
he doesn't have any like low-hanging fruit.
I do. I mean, he's tied with me with Sean Connery. My number 2 is Skyfall, and I considered
who's the villain in Skyfall?
Javier Bardem. Is that his?
Yes. Yeah, Javier Bardem. That one was almost on my list too.
You think about what makes a good Bond film. I think to me it's locations.
Yes.
You have a really strong opening action scene. You've got the score, of which you've got to get the John Barry theme interwove into that. In the very first Daniel Craig movie, they didn't use it at all until the very end. I remember sitting in the theater saying, I'm disappointed. Give me, and then there it is, like right towards the end of this.
Part of the reason why I like that first one.
Yeah, I like, you got M, and Judi Dench is the best M of all time. You got Moneypenny, you've got Q, kind of stuff. You got to have a great villain, and I do think that Javier, and how do you say his name? Bardem is the best Bond villain of all time. There is a scene, and I want you to find it as I'm talking. But there's a scene when James Bond is on a boat in Shanghai, and I saw this in the big screen, and I just remember almost taking my breath away, just how beautifully lit and shot that was the shot on this boat, because you have the lights and the Chinese dragons kind of. It was amazing. And then there's also a scene in there that. And talk about being realistic or not, because this does push the boundaries of that. But there's a scene with a train that James Bond sort of falls in, and he gets up and he checks his cufflinks and his suit. And what you said earlier about being so cool with the turning, the scream turning into laughter, that cool. This is the epitome of James Bond cool. James Bond was all guys wanted to be, James Bond. Women wanted to be with James Bond. That thing with his little cuffs and his suit, man, that was just, and it's a great story, great locations. The theme song was wonderful.
Yeah, I like that movie a lot too. I love when Bardem reveals when he pulls the implant out of his face and it like sinks in.
Yeah, the whole thing sinks.
Oh,
Special effects.
Oh.
In Dr. No, the scene that just when people want to talk about Bond, that they always show is him in the casino there lighting a cigarette and saying Bond, James Bond. I would say after that scene is the scene with the cufflinks and the thing.
I think I picture it. I'll look it up, but I think I'm picturing it in my head when you talk about it.
It really is, and they put it in the trailer when it first came out. So like. That's a guy. I mean, he just went through this crazy experience with explosions and this train kind of thing, and he's like, I'm about to do some business now. So yeah, and the music, the theme song, Skyfall.
I like his look. He looks intimidating. He looks like he can kick your butt, but then he also looks old enough and weathered enough to be savvy and wise in what he's doing. So I think he nails it to me, man. It's gonna be tough for whoever's gonna follow that up
And look at his career compared to all the other folks that played James Bond. Now, Sean Connery did have a much more varied career, but you look at the Glass Onion and what Craig has done. He is the kind of actor now that if he's in a film, I want to see it.
I'm a huge fan of him. One of my favorite roles that he did is, it's something Lucky. Logan Lucky, no. It's like Logan Lucky. It's Channing Tatum and Adam Driver are these two brothers.
Was Dog in it?
No.
Okay.
No, two brothers, and they're trying to like rob this racetrack, like NASCAR.
I know what you're talking about.
And he plays a convicted like felon.
Yep.
And he's real Southern. They got to break him out of jail for a day to help him. He just disappears into it with a Southern accent. He's an amazing actor, and he's one of my favorite working right now.
Did you see The Glass Onion?
That's the second one, right?
Yeah.
I haven't seen it, no, but it's on my list. You
You
said it's better than the first one, and I like the first one.
I tell you, I think you should leave here right now and go home and watch that.
Well, I gotta take care of the stuff for tomorrow.
And then watch.
And then I can watch
And then
it.
watch Sneakers.
Number 2, The Departed. No?
I'm not seeing Spy.
Well, I didn't say spy. I said secret agent. And
Not even said it's undercover detective.
he's an agent. What's an agent?
Well, we could have Agent Orange on here.
Well, that's not what I'm talking about. But to me,
Wouldn't
this
that be a cool name for a character?
Agent Orange.
Agent Orange.
Agent Yellow. That just sounds racist. No.
So Are you talking? You talk about Departed. You're not talking about the.
Not Infernal Affairs, no.
Okay.
No, I like Infernal Affairs a lot. I argued with people before that it's better than Departed, but I don't think it is. It's first of all, The Departed is one of the best movies to come out that decade. I mean, you could probably argue that it maybe is the best movie to come out of that decade. I don't know that I'd make that argument, but it's a heck of a cast. But I think it has everything that a spy or a secret agent movie has, but it's just a little different, and it makes, I think, a little refreshing spin on it, because it's not international. It's not, French dudes in Paris drinking, races down cobblestone streets on motorcycles. It's a little more of the Boston American version, but it has everything that you would expect from a spy movie. Double agents and secret agents and tradecraft and subterfuge and all the good stuff, and then you get amazing actors to go on top of it.
I agree.
And
It
an
was a great
amazing
film.
story too to go
Great
with
acting, great characters.
it. Yeah.
One of the differences between you and me that I'm thinking about
I make this look good.
is that I am more likely to pick films that have a broader sort of longitudinal basis. In other words, I pick films often that were made before I was born. You don't do that as much. Why is that?
Well, again, I think it's the difference is older movies for you aren't as different to you as older movies are to me, right? So if you take a movie from 30 years difference, right? You take a movie from 1926 and 1956, they don't look as different as if you take a movie from 1956 with 1986. Does that make sense? So I think that there's a little bit more of a disconnect because Hollywood and technology is caught so fast that they just look different. The sensibilities are so different. It's just harder, I think, for people to connect to that. And I don't hate old movies. I just don't get as excited about them as some new stuff. Basically, you old. That's why.
Well, in my day.
What were we talking about?
Well, number one.
What's your number one?
North by Northwest. 1959.
Oh, I wouldn't even thought about that.
Hitchcock. You got Cary Grant, you got Yves Saint Marie, you got James Mason, Martin Landau, you got Leo G. Carroll, also in Man from U.N.C.L.E. kind of deal. I love Hitchcock, and my favorite Hitchcock movie changes all the time. This really is a great film. It's perfect to see on the big screen. Great score. Bernard Herrmann does that. I'm just. Maybe I don't remember much about it. I don't know Secret Agent. Where it's one of these mistaken identity films. So Cary Grant is mistaken to be somebody that people think is a spy. And so they take him, they pull him out of a restaurant and they take him to this big mansion and they're asking him this and he's saying, I'm not Roger Thornhill, I'm not Roger, they're just thinking he's just denying it. And then they get him drunk, pour whiskey down his throat thinking he's gonna die in a car crash, and he doesn't, and then he brings the police and everything back to this house and it's totally different. The people don't live there, all that kind of stuff. And it's this whole intrigue, and it's a beautiful.
That sounds really interesting.
It really is, and it's so well done. There is a scene where they actually do this chase and fight on Mount Rushmore, and it's believable. When I talk about things need to be believable, unlike the Fast and Furious Impossible Mission, this is, if they were to do this same thing, it'd have been totally insane. And this is, again, just so believable what they do in it. It's just a great sort of spy, secret agent.
I'll put that one down. I've seen most of Hitchcock's stuff. That's just one of the ones that I haven't seen, or if I did, I just don't remember anything about it.
Yeah.
But it sounds interesting. My number one is the greatest spy film ever made. Do you know what it is?
Is it the one with Mr. Bean?
Incorrect.
No. No, I'm just kidding.
Was that Johnny English? Was that the...
That's, yeah, Johnny English. No, GoldenEye. Just kidding. No, Mission Impossible 1. I think it's got everything you wanted. It is, I watched it in preparation for this just because and I have your box set, by the way. The Mission Impossible 1, Mission Impossible 2 box set that you have. But it has everything in it. It is a little bit dated with the technology from today's perspective, but it's just so good. It's got the twists and the turns that I think some spy movies are void of. And it really is the who done it at this point. And at this point, we don't know so much about the people that he works for. We're not used to IMF always screwing him over. And so it's not as diluted. What's his name? John Voight, amazing. What's the French guy's name? I can't think of his name.
He was in A Professional?
Yes. I like him a lot. I really like him. He's one of my favorite actors of all time, actually. And but anyway, I love the set pieces there, and for me, part of the intrigue is there is the nostalgic connection to this film. So maybe that's where Departed or Tenet is maybe a better movie. That's just going to be higher on my list because of that.
I liked it because it was faithful to the TV series. It had the same feel, and I remember I was so glad they used the score, the music from that. Just is really kind of exciting. It did have the whole twists and turns and what's really going on, and that was it's a brilliant TV series, which I don't think you've ever seen a single episode.
I think I looked at some of it when we were doing the video for you, just in preparation.
Yeah, it's really quite good, and it was. Tom Cruise was he was sort of very believable in that. That was one of the first action films that I remember coming away from that thinking, okay, that was good. That was good.
And they're very memorable scenes in that movie too. Again, the tether scene where the guy's holding it and him doing this number, that's super memorable. There's a scene at the beginning where Emilio Estevez is on top of the elevator and he goes face first into the ceiling and dies. I remember that scene a lot. But it's throughout that, but to me, it's the gold standard of if you can do that, then you're on your way.
Yep. Well, good.
And imitation is the sincerest form of flattery.
That's true. And you always know, how people start repeating. I think I've seen the wire thing from that. I've seen that people redo that and make fun of it kind of thing.
Oh, yeah. And people probably just try to blatantly steal it, too.
All right. Well, so closing comments?
If I wanted someone to know, they'd already know already, or I'd have to kill them.
Okay. What would you like people to send us?
Something that self-destructs in 10 seconds or less?
What we're talking about is every week we invite you, our massive growing audience. First of all, subscribe, tell your mama, tell your daddy, tell your son, tell your daughter. And if you want to be on our show, we'd love to have you. We can do this electronically. We can Zoom you in. And if you're interested in that, there'll be an address that's on the screen. And we're very serious about this. We want you to be there. But
Sincerious?
Yeah, I haven't had enough coffee.
Right?
We're interested in a topic that you might have. What would your 7 be, your discussion be, that we can all sort of work around that? And if you do, write your contact information on a 3x5 card and tape that to the top of a new mint in the box Secret Sam. Send it our way and we will get back with you.
Make sure to take it out of the box first.
It's really hard. It didn't come in a box. It came in a cardboard sleeve that you would slide out of it, kind of thing. Yeah. I think they're like $200 or something on eBay. So
eBay.
Yeah. All right. See you next Thursday.